Hello everyone, Jumbo. Welcome to the last episode of this series of the Feminist Tech Exchange Reboot module. I hate to say it, I feel so sad, but every good thing has to come to an end. This podcast series has been made possible by the generous funding of Association of Progressive Communication. APC is a worldwide network of social activists who use the internet to make the world a better place. So today we are going to talk about self-care. And somebody asked me, you said you are going to talk about self-care. What is self-care? Well, self-care may be interpreted differently by different people in different circumstances, especially in this era of capitalism, whereby self-care is about maybe going shopping, spoiling yourself. Don't get me wrong, it's all nice. Hey, I want to be somewhere right now in the Maldives, lying on the beach as I listen to the waves, not worrying about tomorrow, but that's not self-care. Self-care can be defined on individual basis. But in this time, we are going to talk about self-care when it comes to this digital world. How do you take care of yourself in this era of information overload? How do you make sure your well-being is taken care of? For me, self-care is knowing when to be able to take a break from the digital world, switch off my phone, switch off my MacBook, and just taking some time off and sitting somewhere. That is me as an individual. But there are other people that self-care is about taking a walk, running. By the end of the day, it's you who knows what works best for you. But in this episode, I'm going to emphasize why self-care is important and what is self-care when it comes to this digital world. For me, as a digital security trainer, one thing I tell people, and that is what I was taught by my mentors: oversharing. The internet doesn't forget. It has the memory of an elephant. So whatever you're sharing, as much as it is interesting, you also need to set boundaries for yourself. How much time are you spending online? Nowadays we have apps which monitor our screen time. The other day I was looking at how much time I spend on screen time. I'll not tell you how much because it's even embarrassing. And I called myself for a meeting and I said, you know what? This is too much. Know how to limit yourself, because the digital world can be so exciting. There's always something. There's always an article to read. There's always photos to click on Instagram. Hey, I'm a fanatic of Instagram. I must admit that I need rehab when it comes to Instagram. But when do you draw the line and saying stop and just take a moment for yourself? You could decide to do yoga. You could decide go dancing. You could decide to go for a walk in the forest or even take a jog. It all depends on an individual, but self-care is very crucial. Self-care is a way of rejuvenating ourselves in this fast-paced world. And I'm going to give you tips. They might not work for everyone, but I'm going to give you different tips on how to be able to handle self-care for you as an individual. We have a duty to ourselves to be able to include self-care in our work. We have a responsibility to ourselves to be able to include self-care in our lives, because we cannot afford to go through burnout. Self-care is when action is around our physical, emotional, relational, and even perhaps educational and professional well-being. And I must say, people confuse self-care with being selfish. It is not. Self-care is just a matter of self-improvement, self-involvement with oneself. Self-care is important because if we don't take care of ourselves, we might experience what I mentioned earlier: burnout, fatigue, and even stress. Self-care produces positive feelings, which improves confidence and self-esteem too. Self-care is also important for your family. It also influences how we relate to each other. When it comes to the digital platform, how many times are we able to block out negativity that we've gotten online? You've been harassed online. How are you able to block that negativity from you? That is still self-care, because the more you're internalizing, the more it eats you up. And don't get me wrong, I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy, but someone has to start from somewhere. That's when you bring in the issue of self-care when it comes to online gender-based violence. How are you able to practice also self-care? Self-care is about protecting our devices, because if your data falls in the wrong hands, that will be able to affect you in different ways. So how are you able to connect the two, self-care and protecting your devices, so your data doesn't fall in the wrong hands? Many of us have so many responsibilities in life, and that is the nature of life. There's so much to do, so little time. But however, we need not to forget to take care of our personal needs. This is especially true for women and sexual rights activists who are doing work in which the society sometimes does not approve of. Because if you continue to neglect your own needs and forget to be able to nurture yourself, you are at a danger of deeper levels of unhappiness, low self-esteem, and feelings of resentment, and this starts having an effect even with the people around you. Some of the self-care practices are meditation, taking like 10 minutes out of your day and doing a deeper meditation. And this does not work for everyone. But if this can work for you, this is one of the way of self-care. Unfortunately, many people view self-care as a luxury rather than a priority. Also, physical self-care. You need to take care of your body if you want it to run efficiently. We only have this one body. There's this saying that we don't have spare parts. It's true. When a car breaks down, they go and get a spare part. But we don't have spare parts for our body. So we need what we call physical self-care. Because when you care for your body, you think and feel better too. And one way is getting adequate sleep. Eating a very good diet, although that one a lot of people fail, including myself. Making sure you exercise enough. Then there's social self-care. You need to take care of your body if you want it to run efficiently. And remember, we don't have spare parts for your body. And like a car, when it breaks down and you go and get a spare part, we don't have spare parts for our body. So we only have this one body. The way we only have one life to live. You have to take care of it. And one way is by exercising, by eating right, which I don't want to say it, but I'm a culprit. I enjoy my pizza, I enjoy my deep fried chicken, but that is once in a while. Also, we have social self-care. This is the best part. Spending time with people you love, your friends, and talking about nothing, and just living life as it comes. Not worrying too much about tomorrow. And me, sometimes self-care is about not worrying about tomorrow. Because we live in a world whereby we are here, but we are thinking 10 years from now. No, just live in the present. Because the present is what you are assured of. Live in the present. Enjoy every moment. Whether good or bad, just enjoy it as it comes. Try and afford a smile. Just live in the moment. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Do your best and the rest will work out. The universe will always find a way of working things out. And also, social self-care is whereby we keep our gadgets aside and have a one-on-one interaction. We live in a society whereby everything is at the click of a button, and we think that is communication. Yes, it is communication, but we need the physical interaction, face-to-face with our friends, with our family, with our loved ones. That is a form of self-care. Then there's mental self-care. The way you think, the things that you let control your mind, the things that you feed to your mind, that is very crucial. If you feed yourself with negativity, negativity will always be around you. If you feed yourself with positivity, it will always be around you. Gratitude is another issue when it comes to mental self-care. We should be grateful for everything, whether good or bad. Let us learn as individuals to be grateful. An attitude of gratitude. I read a quote somewhere that gratitude attracts miracles. Well, let's start practicing that, and we know our miracles are on the way. Emotional self-care. It is important to have healthy coping skills to deal with uncomfortable emotions like anger, anxiety, and sadness. So the way you can do this is by making sure that maybe you have a close friend or a partner you can be able to talk with. Talking with someone really, really helps. Makes you feel light and rejuvenated, and feeling like you can face whatever situation is in front of you, or whatever situation that you're going through. That is such a great deal of self-care. And one way you can develop a self-care plan. Yes, you can have a self-care plan. Like you can say, once in a week, I'm going to jog. Once in a week, I'm going to try and do yoga. remember I said self-care is on individual basis. As for me, I can't meditate because after 1 minute I'm so distracted, but I enjoy jogging. I enjoy sitting with my friends and interacting with them. I enjoy sometimes switching off all my gadgets and just taking time for me. So whatever works for you, but remember you need to incorporate self-care in your day-to-day lives so that we don't experience a burnout, stress, and other diseases which are brought by not taking care of yourself. Self-care is about being kind to yourself as you would to others. So what are the benefits of self-care? You are more productive as an individual. You learn how to say no to things that you know you cannot do. Better physical health. So what I can say as a wrap-up is self-care is very crucial. Just find out what best works for you, grab it with 2 hands and run with it. So, as I said before, this is our last episode. Thank you so much for joining me for the last 4 weeks. It has been a very interesting journey. I'm going to have a blog post about it very soon. This is my first time to do a podcast, so it was very, very exciting. So you can be assured there will be more in the future. I want to thank Association of Progressive Communication. None of this would have been possible without your input. Thank you so much. Thank you so much on behalf of all the listeners and on behalf of the production team that took time to make this podcast. Geoffrey, Mwania, Nixon, asante sana. Thank you so much. You can find me on Twitter at Cecilia Maundu. In case you have any question, just send me an inbox and I'll be able to answer. Thank you so much and goodbye.